Hello, 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 everybody. I cannot believe it is 2026.
Wild.
So crazy.
This is crazy.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Truthfully. True.
Yeah.
True.
Who else is ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
We all
Ready.
are.
Ready.
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 Yeah.
What a year. It's 2025 has been. I mean, from the craziness within our politics, whether you love Trump or you hate Trump, it's just been chaotic.
It's not normal.
It's not normal.
Not normal.
It's been chaotic.
Yeah.
And it's every day we wake up to a new headline. What's happening tomorrow? We don't know. It's just been craziness. But then on top of that, with our jobs, it's been a crazy market in 2025.
It really has.
I read a stat this morning that 71% of real estate agents licensed in the United States sold 0 homes last year.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder what that stat is compared to like years previous, because I feel like we've always watched that, and that just seems higher to me.
It is high for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, really high. So, I mean, that just gives everybody that's listening a little taste of kind of what this market was like. It was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough. So if your agents are still agents today,
Give him a hug.
give them a hug because they need
And a round
it.
of
I
applause.
feel like that's what I saw. It was like if you made it through 2025,
Yeah.
You're good.
you're good.
Yeah, like I mean, a lot of the economists, the analysis are saying that this was just as rough as '08, if not tougher in some
Capacity.
ways.
Mhm. Yeah.
Affordability is incredibly high right now. People just don't have the funds to keep up with
Yep.
where the economy is going. And that's a direct translation to housing.
Yeah.
And we all felt it.
Yeah.
2025 was rough, but honestly, cheers to Porterhouse
We did a
because
great job.
we still broke some records for us.
Yeah, we did.
Personally, we grew, which a lot of agents and companies did not grow, and we did. And so I just want to thank you guys because it's a huge testament to our team that we were able to not only survive 2025 but also thrive in 2025.
Yeah.
And I hate this word pivot because it's so overused but it's true. I mean, what we were able to do in 2025 was read the room, kind of see what is coming down the pike, even though there was many times where it was like, oh, I didn't see that one coming. But just having those conversations with our clients ahead of time, just knowing what to expect and how things were shifting. I think the toughest part for 2025 was the homes that we already had listed or the conversations that we already had with clients about expectations.
Yeah.
And then being like, wait a second, now we have to back up a little bit. The expectation now is, guess what? Buyers are now not looking for, they don't want to lift a finger. They want to stick their key in the door. They don't have a penny more to throw at this thing.
Yeah.
Get your, you know what, together and get this place dialed. That was the biggest thing, was resetting those expectations.
And I think that's what set them up for success, though.
Yeah.
Because we had buyers that we had those conversations with,
Yep.
and those houses sold just as they would have previously.
Absolutely.
And I think that was the hard part, because we always have listings in the pipeline of, we have clients now. They're like, I want to list in spring, I want to list in the summer. So those clients that like Eric said, we had prepped and we had discussed because the market had been just doing one thing. All of a sudden the house is listed and it's crickets. And it was so quick. I mean, that was such a quick change of pace. And obviously for all the right reasons, they're disappointed. That's not the plan that any of us had in mind. But thankfully, we have amazing clients that know that we are going to do what we can to get their house sold. But we're just going to have to maybe do a little bit different things. We're going to stay on the market a little bit longer. And we got them sold and it all worked out. But it was crazy. It went from like, your house may be on the market for 2 weeks to tried like 3 months. We haven't experienced that in a long time as a team. We're not used to that. So it was like unsettling for us as well to be like, wait, hold on. It's dialed. It's ready. It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, why? But I think it helped us kind of grow our business in a sense of like, okay, well, we had to pivot.
Yeah, and there was a good side to the other side of the coin, right? Because most of them were going to be buyers as well.
Yeah.
So we were saying, hey, look at the bright side. When you do become the buyer on the buyer side after you sell your house, then chances are you're going to get a better buy or you're going to get what you asked for in an inspection, there's a higher probability you're getting some of your closing costs paid for. So there was a trade-off there,
Right.
but it was a little sketchy.
It was, yeah. But we made it through.
We did.
We did it.
We did.
Yeah, and some of the things that we're seeing or that we saw last year that came back with full force was buyer inspections.
Yeah.
You know, and so again, that plays into our sellers' expectations and then also the buyer's expectation. And then like Sid said, it was a transition where it kind of went from seller's market to bang, all of a sudden we're transitioning to this new, more buyer heavy market, and expectations switch like this, where all of a sudden buyers are coming in and almost greedily a little bit. Like they're like, oh, the market switch, which I understand they've been beat up for the last 4 years. They've been beat up. So they're like,
now's
yes,
my time
now's
to
my
shine.
time.
They're like, hey, so about a new roof? And I'm like, excuse me?
No.
Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. It was quick.
Yeah. And so then all of a sudden, buyers like, yeah, I'm going to do an inspection, and every little detail on the inspection I want fixed or I want a credit for it.
Yeah.
And because the house was sitting for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, some of these homes that we put in offers for our buyers, the seller said yes, because they didn't have anybody else knocking down the door to get it done. So I do, like you said, Eric, there was some good on the flip side of some of this tough parts of the market. Buyers got some crazy deals last year.
Yeah.
They really did. Yeah. And I think that's also important to know if you just became an agent in the last couple years and you're like, oh, I haven't really had to go through the inspection process heavily. Well, Jen got that real quick. Jen did not experience that version of a market. Whereas a lot of agents that I think weren't producing this year, they joined when we weren't really negotiating things to the finite detail like we are now.
Yep.
And if you don't know how to do that successfully, it's hard.
Right.
And we did this, well before COVID. But Jen had to learn by fire. She was like, okay, so wait, this page is a lot more full than I was expecting.
Right.
I walked into it's crazy. It changed as I came on, really.
Yeah.
I came on to a wild market of nobody was asking for anything. And they were
Until Jen came
waiving
along.
inspections as I was learning. And then that flipped.
It changed.
It completely changed.
Yeah.
And then there came the noise from the media about, the market's falling apart, all these price reductions. And then they, tried to shape it in the way that,
Doomsday.
the bottom's falling out.
Yeah.
But really what it was is it was just an adjustment, because we were seeing this, and really what we were seeing was just things kind of leveling off and balancing out a bit, right? It didn't really necessarily switch to a buyer's market per se. I felt like it was pretty balanced. It felt like pre-COVID times where you would go put an offer in on a house, a realistic offer, priced at a realistic price, and then we would realistically negotiate.
It takes the panic out too for a buyer of feeling like they're giving everything up from the beginning because they had to.
Yeah.
It was either you kind of forego all that stuff or you didn't get the house.
Yep.
Right.
And then
And
you
now they
found
can sit
out
and
all
think.
the crap later that you were stuck with.
Yeah. Which we always talk about. We hated during COVID. I hated that our buyers walked into a house waving everything, and then we'd be like, okay, well, I hope it stands up for the next year. That was just stressful. We're very big on, eyes wide open, buy something with your eyes wide open and kind of know what you're moving into, what you're investing in. And I think that we've always just been very comfortable with the inspections and negotiating and things like that. I think, like I said, a lot of agents in the last few years have never had to do that. We've been doing that I've been with you guys for almost 9 years, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that we were comfortable with and familiar with, and it was fun.
And that's something that, like you said, Jen, you started the business in one market and within a year it was another market.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've learned over the last 10 years of doing this business is every year is different.
Every 6 months.
We haven't gone through a repeat yet. We haven't gone through a repeat of a market. I mean, every year it's a little different. So again, having those agents that are staying on top of the market and how it's moving, and the best way you can do that is by doing production, right? So you can be an agent that's been in the business for 30 years, but you only did 3 deals last year or 3 deals over the last 3 years. you're not in it like doing it with a team like us that's doing 50 plus deals a year. We're really into the market, and I think moving forward as we go into 2026 and this new year we have ahead of us, I think the importance of an agent that is dialed into the market is so important.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because we're going to still see more inspections.
Yeah.
It's still going to be, it's not going to be a multiple offer situation type of year again. I think it's going to be very similar to 2025. I think rates may settle down just a little bit. I did love seeing that the November year over year numbers from 2025, from 2024, we actually saw an increase of almost 10% more homes sold this year. But that's because in October we saw some of the rates soften just a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, that also is something for everybody that's thinking about being a buyer, thinking about being a seller in the next year or so, and you've been maybe waiting on the sidelines, waiting for the rates to soften. We're seeing just like 0.5% soften, and we're seeing 10% more buyers into the market.
That's a really good point.
So if you're waiting for these rates to come back down to the 5s, which I do think that they're going to get there, they're going to get to the high 5s. That we're going to have a lot more competition, and we're going to be right back into multiple offers, waiving inspections.
There's been a lot of people sideline waiting.
Right.
A ton of people. Yeah.
A little bit of a budge is going to get them moving again.
Right.
Yeah.
And November's numbers literally show it.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of people jump into the market that didn't have a lot of cash on hand. They got into the market with a smaller down payment that was with a manageable payment, but they were able to get those concessions, get their closing costs paid for, get chimneys repaired, get siding repaired, get new roofs, you name it. We've worked with those clients over this past year, and it's been incredible the position that they've been put themselves in, because now they've found their home with a little cash down, a manageable payment, and then once rates do dip, they're already in their house. They don't have to beat everybody else off with a stick to get into that house and overpay for that house, or not overpay for it, but pay a premium for that house. They can now refinance it and even lower their payment further. So there's been a lot of wins in 2025 too. There's a lot of issues with 2025, but a lot of wins too.
Yeah.
Good. And I'm going to piggyback on what I said earlier, is the importance of having agents that are really savvy in this market. As a seller, you're going to need that. You're going to need to have an agent that's coming in there and having your home prepped and ready for the market. Again, 3-4 years ago, any Joe Blow off the street that had their real estate license could put a for sale sign in the front yard, and it's gonna sell.
It's gonna sell.
The house is gonna sell. And it's probably going to sell for top dollar and really quick. Yeah. But that's not the market that we were in last year, and that's not the market we're going to be in this upcoming year. You've got to have an agent that's going to guide you through the process, or a team that's going to guide you through the process to set you up for success. And then on the buy side, you need to have an agent that is going to be able to negotiate for you. You know, use this market as leverage to get the things that you want to get, the closing costs covered. Be smart and work with the lender and work on a rate scenario to buy that rate down. Have the seller pay for that rate buy down. You know, negotiate a new roof, negotiate all of these things after inspection. So again, the importance of a savvy agent and or team is going to be absolutely critical in 2026.
Well, I think to piggyback even off of that, like we're speaking in terms of a market where it's going to be more buyer heavy, sellers need to be prepped, but when those rates do drop and we have an influx of buyers enter the market, you need an agent who knows how to write a competitive offer.
Right.
Which there's a lot that really aren't familiar with how to do that, because you could just kind of write anything at one point in your career. You could just write whatever and it would get accepted, because you know, we are going to transition from a house sitting on the market to not many buyers walking the door to you maybe being the only offer in hand for that seller, and then negotiating from there. Versus, we have 4 offers in hand. Why is yours important? And it's little things. I mean, things that we've learned over our careers of like, there are times where having a local lender is going to be more important because it's someone you can talk to, someone you can put a face to. It's not someone who is in a different time zone and we're trying to reach out to them. Things like that, and having an agent who knows the benefit of that and who knows how to sell an offer like that is so important. And I think you need to make sure your agent can work in both of those markets really successfully.
Or if it's something as simple as if the lender reached out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So if you have 4 offers, and of those 4 offers, 3 lenders were radio silence, the one lender made a phone call and said, hey, I've got strong buyers here. I'm here to answer any questions you have. Those little things set you apart. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a local agent or a local lender. It could be somebody on the East Coast in a different time zone, but they might be midnight there, but they're calling you up, calling you up to make sure that, they're front of mind.
Yeah.
So,
and your agent is someone who's going to call.
Yeah.
We've had offers coming on homes where I'm like, I don't know this agent. I didn't know you looked at the house. Who are you? Whereas we have other agents they'll call us once or twice a day until offer review. And that always stands out of okay, there's effort being made. I can put a face to a name. I can put a phone number to a client, which I know is weird, but we got a lot of people calling us in a day. If I recognize your phone number, that stands out to me of oh, I know who this is. I talked to her. That's Shelly or whatever.
Right.
I think just being aware of that, if you are walking into this market and trying to decide on what type of agent you want to use, what type of group you want to use, maybe curate your questions around things of that sort.
Yeah.
Rather than just, how long have you been in real estate?
Right.
Yeah.
Like
the
Tony
small
said.
details are going to matter more and more in these tougher markets. Those small details that have you stand out and have you win.
Yeah.
I mean, the details are, the money's in the details.
Yeah. I've been doing this for 30 years, but I only closed one deal last year.
Right.
Yeah, it's about asking the right questions.
Yeah.
You can ask questions as a client and say, well, how long have you been doing this, Sydney?
Right.
And but really what it boils down to is how many times have you practiced your practice? And so Sydney might have only been in the industry less than a decade, and the one that she's up against has been in it for 3 decades. That you're not comparing apples to apples in many different ways.
Right.
You should really be asking yourself the right questions. Social media is a huge push right now with selling your property. That's what gets people to your property. So asking your agent, what kind of activity do you see on your social media? Do you have a lot of followers? Do you ever get inquiries through your social media? I would say 80+% of our properties have sold to someone who's shown interest through our social media.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Right. And that's one thing that we really leaned into, and we're going to continue to lean into, is that a lot of our business over the last couple months have been houses that have sat on the market with other agents and attempted to sell, and this, maybe it was the seller's cousin or the seller's friend of a friend that they use as an agent. Well, again, they're starting to realize that those agents sometimes don't work, and it's not just because you have know an agent doesn't mean all agents are created equal. We're not all the same. And so we've had an influx of clients calling us saying, hey, our house has been on the market for X amount of days. We can't get it to sell. And one of the biggest things that we do, and we go through and we do a Porterhouse audit of the listing of what it currently looks like, how many views it's gotten. One of the things we find is that there's zero social media presence with these agents. None. And again, in a tougher market, these details matter.
Yeah, your reach matters because you're no longer fishing from a bucket. You have to cast your line far and wide. So that's really what it boils down to. And I wouldn't say the only driver of that is social media, but a large driver of that is social media.
100%.
That's one of your biggest reaches that you have.
100%.
Yeah, it's not the postcards in the mail anymore. It's not the the ad in the local newspaper anymore.
Right.
Those things just aren't working like they used to. And social media and an online presence is absolutely huge. So ask your agent, if you're interviewing agents, what is your social media presence? How many followers do you have? All of those things are super important.
Because our number one job on the listing side is to drive as much traffic through your property as possible. And by doing that and doing creative things with photography, videography, drone work, staging, all those things add up to a big picture scheme.
And just the reach too on like an open house.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
How many people drive by and see an open house sign and agents are crossing their fingers that somebody's going to stop?
Yep.
If you don't have that reach, like I don't even know how anybody knows about an open house outside of a social media post.
Right.
It's kind of like, we were just going over designs for our A boards for open houses, right? We were all kind of talking, do we put our phone numbers on them or do we not? Or, I think it just as long as it says open house, people will drive to it. They're not going to call you. They're going to call you from the house, or they're going to just come meet you. It's little things like that we have to reframe our minds on how things used to operate versus how they're operating now. Same thing with like the driving directions. Turn left at 284th, and it's the 4th house on the right. How about use Google?
Yeah.
Google Maps.
GPS is pretty great.
It always cracks me up when you just see Google Maps on there. It's just like, that's...
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, it's 2026.
Yeah.
So things change, things change and things evolve, and those little details, just keeping current really helps.
And it's the agent who's willing to switch their mindset.
Right.
Is the one that you want to go to. Because
it's not easy because there's a lot of mindsets throughout the year, as you know, that you have to change, right? You have to change what the market's doing, what people's temperament is. And then on top of that, keep up with technology, keep up with
the form updates. I mean, dear Lord, I remember a couple years ago, the inspection form changed, and you would have thought, I was brand new in the market. So for me, I'm like, okay, this doesn't seem that complicated. It messed people up for years. I mean, to the point where we thankfully noticed it, like, hey, just a heads up, you sent that form over wrong. We could really hurt you and your client, but we won't. But like things like that, I think staying current on not just the market and, media or whatever, agents that are more willing to stay up to date on those things and chase the future are probably more in touch with how to fill out a contract properly, the updated forms that we have, the new rules, laws, and regulations that are in this industry, because they do change constantly.
Yep.
I mean, and you might not notice it.
Sometimes they sneak in there.
They do.
They're just like, FYI, there's a quick update. And if your brokerage isn't on top of it, or,
or you're not writing a lot of deals,
you wouldn't know.
It can be a little bit out of practice.
Because there's little check boxes on all of our contracts. Those things change. And I think, like we've kind of keep reiterating, is if you're not producing in this market, if you're not writing contracts, if you're not selling houses, you're not going to know those things. So you're really going to leave holes open. And so, just check on production, make sure your agent is someone who is willing to keep chasing the market forward in innovation and in creativity and figuring out, okay, how can I be more successful here and in this avenue, rather than just, well, I've done the same thing for decades and it's been pretty okay.
Right.
Like, you don't want that. That's just not...
It just doesn't work in this market.
It doesn't work.
No.
They're not going to be successful with someone like that. So,
Yeah, so with that being said, on the future... What do we think? What are you guys thinking? What are your each of us, I want to hear a big prediction for 2026 of kind of where you think the market's going to go. And then we can look back on this and say, how did it go?
Well, it makes me laugh because last year we were so convinced rates were going to drop. And now I'm like, I can't say it again.
Well, I wonder why. They just kept telling us that they were.
Exactly. So. Now I'm like, oh God, are they? Or am I just going to be putting my foot in my mouth? I don't know. I just feel like they're going to settle. I don't think they're going to drop drastically. I think people, just like we've always said, they're going to settle and everyone's going to take a breath and realize, okay, this is the market that it is. They're not going anywhere. And we're going to see that, 10% influx come back into the market. I don't know at what point, maybe spring, summer, I do feel like if you have a dialed listing, we might get back into multiple offer scenarios. I'm kind of thinking that's where we're going to hit at some point. More competitive, but we're not going to see 7 to 10, but maybe 3.
Yeah.
I think we'll hit there at some point.
Yeah.
We just got to get through the phase that we're in right now.
When I feel like the people that have been waiting for those rate changes, who keep coming to me and saying, do you think they're going to go lower? Do you think they're going to go lower? And I think they're thinking of those 3 to 5 days.
Yes.
And those just aren't going to come back. And I think that they're finally going to realize, like, with the economy and with where we are politically, they're going to kind of see, like, okay, maybe this is it. This is where we're going to be comfortable. And I think all of those sideline sitters are really going to come out of the woodwork spring, summer.
Yeah.
And it's going to be less of this buyer's market that we're feeling right now.
Yep.
And it's not going to switch back to where we were a year ago in that same scenario, but I do feel like it's going to become a little bit more competitive again.
Yeah.
Okay,
What
do
about you two over there?
I 100% agree with that. I think that it's we're going to be in a situation where people are just going to they're already seeing it. They're fatigued of staying in the current property that they're in. They're just like, you know what? I'm just going to jump. And reason being, I can afford it. I can manage the payment. My asset over here has gone up in value enough to where I can use that as a hefty down. I know that this property will move. Like I said, we're already seeing that. And I think people are just tired of waiting for that other shoe to drop. They're just tired of saying, I think right now enough rumble is going around about the good buys that these buyers are getting to where it kind of offsets the negativity of that rate right now if it's affordable for them. And if they have that opportunity to refinance in 6 months to 12 months, that little bit of a heavier payment for that 6 to 12 months isn't going to necessarily deter them from buying. And that would be my suggestion to do that. Nobody has a
Crystal
ball,
Yeah.
right? But based off of do you want to still stay in your 2-bedroom house with the 2 kids that are sharing a bedroom and
And the dogs and
no. What's the cost of that?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see the logjam break loose, and I think we're going to get multiple offers again come summertime. Like you said, not 6, 7, maybe a handful or a couple, and not on every house. They've got to be prepped and priced right, and they have to have some little bit of
Special.
There's something special about it, right?
Yeah. Eric likes to call it the gingerbread.
The gingerbread,
house.
I know.
Yeah, because that's the way to explain it, though. It's like everyone, there needs to be something.
Yeah.
Something that's enticing, that's a little bit different than every other house out there, that someone's like, I don't think I can get this anywhere else.
Yep.
It makes it more competitive. So that's what we call it. If you guys don't know what we're talking about,
But that's why,
what we call it, the
and not
gingerbread.
to deter or jump off subject, because I know you want to give your 2 cents too, but that's why staging's so important.
Yeah.
It gives vibes sell.
100%.
Okay, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I agree with everybody. I think we're gonna, I think rates are gonna stabilize. I think we could maybe get down to the high 5s. I mean, when I'm talking high 5s, I'm talking 5.9,
Right.
5.9%.
Yeah.
Maybe 5.8, but nothing crazy, nothing lower than that, I don't think. But every time we see a little bit of bump now, I think we're going to see an increase in buyer activity, which we need. Buyer activity has definitely been stalled due to rates. So I think having a little bit of that buyer activity bump is going to be good. I think there's some things that I think buyers need to look out for next year, good things and bad things. I think some good things buyers need to look out for in 2026 are new home builder incentives.
Yeah.
The new home
they're
builders out there are
crazy.
giving some crazy good incentives to where they're now becoming more affordable than resales.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think that's pretty unusual. That's not normal. And so because a lot of the builders, especially the big builders, the Richmonds, the KBs, they're national builders, they have the ability to offer lower rates. They can kind of make their own rates to incentivize people to buy their homes because they're not moving.
And that they pre-planned these homes years and years in advance.
Yep.
And the market did a huge shift from the time that they thought they were going to be putting these homes in and selling. And now all of a sudden, it's a different market than they thought they were going to be
It's so different.
listing in.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're sitting on a lot of inventory.
Yeah.
And so that gives buyers, a really big leg up right now. That will go away. It will not be forever.
No.
This leg up will not be forever. So I think that's something that they need to look out for. If you're in the market or thinking about new construction, 2026 is going to be your year.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be kind of the last time for a while that we're going to see this level of incentives that they're putting out there.
Because they are insane
Yeah.
right now. I mean, and to consider the fact of if you are interested in a new build and the incentives are appealing to you, and this is something that long term you think this is a good investment, pay attention to what builder you're going to purchase from, because some of them are publicly traded companies. So every Sunday, Monday, they reset on what they're offering. And, like we've all just said, a lot of these neighborhoods had pre-planned build stages that they need to meet that they've already been behind on. I mean, there's one to Holly out here. They've got what, 5,000 homes that need to be built in the next however many years. It's crazy, but for a minute, a lot of those builders up there had crazy incentives that they were offering because they're like, we need to get to stage 2, 3, 4, whatever. But yeah, I mean, if that's your way in the market, run, get in there, because like Tony said, that offer is not going to last forever.
Right.
Get in the market.
Yeah, and for every tick down in rate, another, first it was 10% new buyers coming into the market, and all of a sudden it's going to be 25%. Like, it's just the floodgates are going to open, and then that window of opportunity is really, really short.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
Yep. Another opportunity for buyers that I think need to take advantage, specifically in Q1 of 2026, is the buyers that are cash strapped. If you're a little bit cash strapped, you don't have a ton of money for down payment, you don't have a ton of money for closing costs, I think Q1 is your time to get out there, find these homes that maybe have been sitting since late last year. That are offering incentives, or you have an agent that's savvy enough to get to you these incentives that aren't even being offered, but to negotiate these incentives in. I think that's going to be huge for Q1 specifically for buyers. So if you're those buyers that are like, oh, we've got enough for the down payment, but not quite enough for closing costs, and you're ready to make that move, now's the time to be planning that right now. Like, you need to actually turn this podcast off and call us now and get to work. Because again, that spring, summer comes, those things are going to go, or going to be harder to find. They're not going to fully disappear, but they're going to be harder to find.
Yeah. And it might not be the same level of house that's sitting on the market as there is right now.
Yep.
There's really nothing wrong with house that's sitting on the market, because we had a couple of those on our own listings. It's just a little lull of a seller's market.
Yeah.
We're seeing a heavy buyer's market, but that'll shift, Every couple months we see a shift.
Yeah.
Can I share a win?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So one of my clients specifically were looking in Tacoma, Proctor area, a very specific area. They were looking for a vintage home. They wanted to be within walkability to downtown Proctor, and found a house. It was a little bit above their budget. So they were kind of looking in the $650 range, and this one was priced at $700. We ended up getting them down to $660. Then we asked for, we got had an inspection. We had a sewer scope, which I highly recommend doing on vintage homes specifically. Needed a new sewer line, had that redone. They paid for that. A bunch of electrical work. I mean, a ton of stuff. Then the appraisal came back, and they already had $40,000 in equity.
Wow.
It was a good one.
I mean, that's crazy. That's a win. These are the types of wins that are happening right now in this market. So, and they didn't have a ton of money that they wanted to put down on the home to begin with. So having that built-in equity, getting your they got their closing costs paid for as well, getting a new sewer line, getting electrical work done, like all these things compounded is such a win. Yeah. And that's what's happening right now. And like you said, the window of opportunity is pretty short. So like Tony said, if you're cash tight, want to save your money for your furniture and that kind of thing to move in, now is the time.
Yeah. Totally.
Q1.
100%.
And then sellers, again, a Q1 call out for sellers that have maybe had their house on the market for 60, 90, 120 days with another agent. This is the time for you to reevaluate. Are you happy? Are they doing everything they can? Because there's plenty of agents that are doing everything they can, and either the price is unrealistic, the seller's unrealistic, or the market just is tough on them right now. But there's a lot of agents that aren't doing what needs to be done. When I look through your listing photos and there's a cat on the couch and there's dishes in the sink, I can smell the photo from my computer. There's some things that need to be dialed in. And so again, this, especially in Q1 and Q2 of this next year, preparation for the house is going to be key. And it's not something that comes natural to people. When you live in the home every day, maybe you don't smell it, or you think it's cute to have the cat on the couch, or you know, you have to have a team that understands it and has an eye for these things and that come in and truly consult you.
And both that work with buyers and sellers. I mean, we frequently work, like you work with a lot of buyers, and we work, you know what I mean? So we understand the sentiment of the buyer and what their feedback is and what they're looking for. And that bleeds into the listing side.
Yeah.
So we can, when we're at the listing appointment, we can say, this is what buyers are saying right now, specifically in this market, in this area. And by the way, your listing with that other agent said that there's a beautiful 40 by 60 foot shop and there's one picture of it from the distance. Why aren't we showcasing the shop? Those types of things, those are all really important things that we don't expect you to understand as the seller or as the client, but that's our job to tell you that that's what needs to be showcased in that listing.
Yep.
The power of staging. I feel like a lot of people think it's a wasted asset for them to put in really great staging.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that's what sells the home.
Right.
Because you're
Without a
painting
doubt.
a vision for the
Right.
people walking in.
Yep.
Otherwise, you can just be walking into a white box. We had a vacant home, and it really truly would have been a white box with new carpet.
Yep.
But to put the staging in, that house flew in 24 hours.
I mean,
in
how many
in
showings
December,
did you have on it?
27.
27
Yeah.
showings.
27 showings in less than a 2-day period.
Yeah.
Yep.
Multiple offers, and that was in the heat of the holidays. That was post Thanksgiving, early December. But having the power of staging and people really feeling like they were walking into their home made all the difference.
Yeah.
Right.
I truly
Yeah.
don't think we would have had any of that activity had it not been staged and
Right.
prepped.
And prepped.
The
Yes.
sellers did an amazing prep job on that
Yep.
Right.
and really understood what
The
they
assignment.
could get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the thing about staging too, is it's just size appropriate furniture. Sometimes, okay, we have a house full of furniture. We have a house full of bookcases and this, that, and the other, but people don't walk in and say, oh, I would never be able to lay on that couch. It's only, you know,
Right.
5.5 feet long. They don't care.
doesn't look
It looks
comfortable.
good in that space. After
Yeah.
they move in, they can put their big billowy,
Yep.
pillowy couch in there
Yeah.
and take up the whole room. But that's not the point. The
Right.
point is for us to showcase it to where it's aspirational.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like they want to move in, they can see themselves there, and it sets the stage.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah, so
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah. I'm excited though. I'm excited for 2026. It's the year of the horse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
Gallop.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Away
It's
from
gonna be a
2020.
I don't
good
know how
one.
much galloping I'll be doing, but I will do my best.
You will as soon as you lighten the load a little bit.
I'll lighten the load and then I'll gallop with you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. I think this will be a market that all of us are very, very comfortable in. I don't think there's anything about it that we're like, well, what if this happens? We're kind of veterans.
The worst
at
thing
this
you can
point.
do is panic. It's just like think about how here comes the word pivot.
Yeah.
We're pivoting.
Yeah. Think about how what needs to be done.
Yeah.
It's not a if it's not really a problem. It's just you just got to solve. It is a problem, but
Well,
you just
there's
solve
looking
it.
for-
We've been in
yeah,
every
there's solutions to
scenario at
everything.
this point.
Solution.
You know,
Yeah.
we're comfortable with all scenarios, whether it's buyer market, seller's market, whether it's slow, whether it's quick, whether it's we're waiving everything, whether we're gonna go like we've been very blessed that we've been able to maintain the careers that we've maintained in the last 10 years. We've kind of seen a lot. So I'm like, hey, we're ready. Porterhouse is ready. We're locked
Well, we
and
love
loaded.
people and we love to listen to them. And when you listen to people, it gives you all the answers to all these
Yeah,
problems.
100%.
Right. Right.
So-
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited for 2026. I'm excited that it's year of the horse. I mean, come on.
It was made for you.
It's
Made for
me.
you.
But I think it's going to be a great year, all in all. I think it's going to be a more balanced year
Yeah.
than we saw in 2025. I think there's going to be opportunities for buyers. I think sellers are going to have to work a little harder, but there's going to be great opportunity for them in the upcoming year as well, especially if we can get the feds to just give us a little break on those rates, which
Yeah.
I'm hoping we'll see a little softening. If we get under 6, the
Buckle
market's
up.
gonna start heating up for sure.
Yeah,
So
for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
Amazing.
Well, thanks for joining us again for another episode of the Porterhouse Perspective, and we'll see you guys next month.